You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, friends. It is once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs, he's Ben. You're in Clown World. Welcome to the show, everybody. Just a reminder, if you like what you're watching tonight, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Go to roads2liberty.com and pick up some of our freedom swag. Or you can go to thealexjonesstore.com/R2L to pick up some supplements, t-shirts, knives, commemorative coins, all sorts of fun stuff. Keep yourself healthy, happy, and wise, and support us and support the InfoWar as well. It's been a couple weeks, lots of stuff going on in the summer, but, lots of things going on in the world as well. So what should we hop into?
The big news was the Trump-Putin meeting.
Yes, it was, which is not getting as much traction in the news as I would expect something of that magnitude.
Trump or Putin's supposed to be the new Antichrist, so of course the mainstream media is not going to report on that. They might tarnish the image.
Yeah, and then Trump is already the Antichrist, so
yeah,
we can't have both of them together doing something good for the world. What would that accomplish for our carefully constructed narrative?
Did you watch the press conference?
No, I haven't got around to it yet. I've just had some things happening over the course of the week that's kind of kept me out of the loop on a lot of the news, but I should get into it. But from what I can tell, there was a bit of a kerfuffle at the end there where they said what they were going to say and then just walked off without taking any questions, and a lot of journos felt butthurt about that.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Putin definitely has I watched it. He definitely has a manner of speaking when he goes in front of the public on a topic. Maybe it's on anything, because everything I've seen him talk about, he gives a very detailed backstory to what's going on. I don't, you probably watched. Did you watch the Tucker interview?
Yes, I did. When he started out in like 10:22 or something like that.
He gave almost 45 minutes of backstory, and that was the same thing during this press conference. He gave almost 10 minutes of backstory of the history. He started with the history of Russia, worked his way all the way up to America-Russia cooperation through Alaska in World War II. Talked about how there's still Russians buried in Alaska that died there during the missions in World War II. So that was kind of interesting to see that he did that again. That just must be his way of presenting his topic.
It definitely makes you think that he comes into any situation that he gets into well prepared, almost to the point of being over prepared, where a cynical person might think that methinks you doth protest too much. But
Right.
at the same time, it does show that he has a sharp mind and an attention to detail, as well as an excellent memory for keeping track of all of these things that he's laying out, because anything that he says is going to get the official actually from the fact checkers.
Well, and it's a completely different method than what Trump has. I mean, Trump just, Trump's all sound bites, and I couldn't see Trump ever giving a 10-minute history lesson before he gave, gave a press conference.
In another world, the two of them would probably make a very excellent team with their varying different styles of presentation, almost like a good cop, bad cop, but like off the cuff versus hyper prepared.
Yeah, and you talked about how when they got done, they just walked off the stage. I can understand why. Those journos wouldn't ask any. They just want to get him with a gotcha or something.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that when they finished their remarks and the journalists erupted with all of their questions, and he just turned to Putin. He goes, "See, look what I have to deal with," and then they walked off.
Yeah, I saw a small clip of Putin sitting there while they were shouting stuff, and just the faces he was making, like, what the fuck? I'm sure it's a very different situation in Russia. You know, you're not gonna ask any pointed questions, or you'll end up, what is it, defenestrated,
Something end up
tossed
end up
out a
just
window.
disappeared, or polonium 210 in your whiskey coke or something.
But yeah, they were kind of vague on what they actually talked about. Uh, what did Trump say? There's no deal until there's a deal. Well, no shit.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of this, we're probably going to end up seeing what's left of Ukraine being a landlocked rump state. Um, it's going to be little more than a DMZ with sovereignty, and basically that sovereignty is going to be on paper. The concessions that Russia wants, if I read correctly the other day, was they wanted the Crimean referendum to be internationally recognized as being Russian territory, and they wanted the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, their referenda, to be honored as well, to be parts of Russian territory, or at least semi-autonomous Russian protectorates. With that being said, having those regions would essentially make Ukraine a landlocked state. I think that's about 25 to 30% of Ukraine's land is now under Russian control. And for the most part, it's not contested control. The people who live there actually don't really care that they're under Russian control
Mm.
for the most part. A lot of them voted to leave Ukraine and cede over to Russia. So we'll see how that goes. The Euros are not happy about these developments, but from what I can tell, this meeting with Putin in Alaska is step one, and Zelensky is going to be coming to the White House within the next week. And then after that, perhaps as early as next Friday, the 22nd, Zelensky, Trump, and Putin will all meet in the same area, same place, to bang out the last details of whatever truce that they're going to be having.
Yeah, at the end of the meeting, Putin said maybe our next one you can come to Moscow, and Trump was like, "Oh, I don't know about that."
And last time he went to Moscow, they accused hookers of peeing on him.
The Russian P tapes. That's right. Um,
Yeah, that
yeah,
never
and
materialized.
then in the Hannity interview afterwards, I didn't watch all of it. But I saw some of it. The Trump, I guess him and Putin were talking elections again, and how Putin believes the election was stolen from him. Also, at least that's what Trump said. Putin told him, and then at that point, Trump started railing on mail-in ballots and how that's probably how the election was stolen from him. I don't know why he's still so hung up on it. Who cares? He got elected again. Let it go.
Yeah,
It's probably for the
it's
better dude.
yeah, it is. It is. If you think about it, if he would have won in 2020, he still would have been saddled with Mike Pence. He still would have been saddled with a recalcitrant deep state that was undermining everything that he did. So the 4 year off season was actually good for everybody in the long run.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't know it, but you brought it up. I guess JD Vance also was out doing diplomatic things.
No, he wasn't doing diplomatic things. He was taking just a family vacation to the Cotswolds in England, and while he was there, your typical 60 plus lives on the BBC Boomerwaffen came out to harass him. Stupid bunch of stupid signs like some of the funny ones that I saw was JD Vance's Netflix password is password. They, they called him the vice dictator. They called him a war criminal, and for some reason, they thought that putting up the meme face, the fat Vance meme face with the bald head, where his face is all like red and flushed.
Right.
For some reason, they thought that would like really get to him or whatever. But it's like his fans made that meme edit, and he thinks they're funny. So somebody like rented a billboard and put it up, and one guy had one of those vans that has the LED screens on the side, and they had that picture, and he was just driving around town with the fat Vance meme on it, and it's like, you guys are letting guys named Muhammad rape people in the street, and you think that this is some type of like subversive guerrilla warfare that you're waging right
Right.
now?
I, I I don't know what it is with that age of boomer that thinks holding a sign um, does anything and protest. I think the age of signs and protest is long gone.
No, we are entering the age of war.
I found a picture of one of the things that they held up at that protest. I'll throw it up here. I didn't realize he was just there for a vacation. It seems like a weird spot to want to take a vacation to. Yeah, here, typical boomer stuff.
Yeah.
Wearing their kafayas.
Yeah, because we got Palestine solidarity, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw recently in Manhattan they're protesting that they want to globalize the Intifada.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that the Intifada would really go well in a super duper gay place like New York with all those tall buildings that they've got.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, they've got the new mayor that they're going to be getting there. I don't know. We'll see how that pans out for him. I hope the guy wins, and he's able to implement everything he wants to implement.
Yeah, there's that saying: the only way to assuage people of their desire for socialism and communism is to give it to them good and hard.
Right.
Uh, but I think that the Mamdani thing, that phase might have passed, because I saw some polling the other day that was stating that he started out on a really high note, making all of his commie promises that they always make, and he was riding high at something like 35% in the polling or something. Which, the way that New York's elections run, 35% is basically a guaranteed win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then in the last few days, the internet being what it is always going to have the time to lay down some facts, and he was down to like 9 or 10% now, because people were like the big thing that came out was, hey, this city-owned grocery store idea has been tried in Kansas City, and it cost $20 million, and the shelves are empty because, oops, it turns out that grocery stores actually operate on a sub 1% margin.
Well, I
So
thought it was kind of interesting how they're giving him a pass that he's a filthy colonizer too. His family owns an estate in like Zimbabwe or wherever,
Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah, he's an Indian Muslim who was born in Uganda and emigrated to this country when he was, I think, 7 years old or something like that. But he only became a citizen 7 years ago. So it's like, what are you waiting on, bro?
So let's see, just some quick googling here. There's 15,000 people that are Indians that live in Uganda. That
Hmm.
seems kind of like, and they have a large compound with. How is that not the colonizer behavior that they like to rail against? Just
That
because he's marginally brown, he gets a pass.
Yes, because it's not about behavior. It's not about the actual details of the matter. It's all about identity and tribe. If you're white, you're a colonizer. If you're brown, you get a pass, even though you're engaging in forming a literal colonial enclave in I guess, uh, an African country.
It says here Indians became prosperous and dominated much of the Ugandan economy, acting in the role of colonial overseers for the British regime.
Wow. So you're like colonizing twice there.
His family literally oppressing the native black population, and he gets a pass.
He's a colonizer who's colonizing on behalf of another colonizer.
Yeah,
It's like
gets a pass
secondhand
though.
colonizing. Yes, but he gets a pass. Because this is the progressive stack in action. This is that idea that if you check certain boxes, it doesn't matter what you actually do. He's Muslim, check. He's Indian, check. He's immigrant, check. He's communist, check. So, like, the only thing that this guy's missing is a physical disability, and he'd be, like the golden child that they'd have to put up on a
Untouchable.
litter and carry through the streets.
He'd have to be trans also.
We'll put that in the physical disability box.
So that was the news. England, Vance and the meme war. Putin met Trump. Trump takes over DC though.
Yeah, well, before we get into Trump takes over DC, he did have one excellent flex on Putin. And that
Okay.
was as they were walking from the airplane up the red carpet, he had a flyover with, I
Yeah.
think it was 4 F-22s and a B-2 bomber or something like that. It was like, with what happened in Iran with the B-2s, that was definitely a flex.
Yeah, and the media report on that was Trump exposes state secrets by having flyover of Putin. I saw that. I saw that article.
It's like, don't break your arm reaching so hard, man.
Yeah, like like they can't just buy it off China anyways. No, that was a good flex. He had him on the tarmac. He had a couple on the tarmac too. I think he had some F-35s, like in a display out there on the
Hmm.
tarmac when he came up. So yeah, good flex.
Yeah. Our strategic bombers, they still fly. Yours got blown up recently, didn't they? Wasn't
Right.
us.
Supposedly. Um, yeah, the DC thing. So I don't know much about this law. The home rule law in DC. Did you look it up?
Yeah, so the way that DC, it's not a part of Maryland or Virginia.
Right.
DC, from its inception, was always a federal enclave, which means that Congress is supposed to be in charge of everything that goes on in DC. And like most things, Congress decided that they were going to abdicate their responsibilities. And in 1970, either 1973 or 1976, they passed
73.
73. They passed a law called Home Rule. And what the Home Rule law did was it established an office of mayor. It established a police chief, established all of your typical municipal positions and authorities that would exist in any normal major city. So up until 1973, none of these positions actually existed. Everything was Congress's responsibility in the District of Columbia. That's why it's the District of Columbia, not the City of
Right.
Columbia. And so after the Home Rule took effect, of course, because it's a federal enclave and everybody who lives there pretty much works for the government or is dependent on the government in one way or another, the party of big government, of course, ended up taking it over to the point where I believe in the last election it was like 98% went to Democrats or whatever. And like all blue cities, it spiraled into absolute shit, where crime is one of the most crime ridden cities in the country. You have almost Brazilian favela levels of disparateness between the normal, everyday, average citizens of DC who live in poverty and squalor in parts of the city, that is juxtaposed to be like just one block away. You have massive marble edifices and national monuments and giant mansions of all of your politically connected people. And so the people they want to talk about income inequality. Well, Washington D.C. is one of the most stark examples of income inequality, and for some reason, you take a look at that and you just can't figure out that 52 years of uninterrupted Democrat rule has led to what is quite possibly the most stark example of income inequality, and people are just like, no, let's keep trying. We'll get it the next time. It's so Trump decided to start enforcing the laws, brought in some National Guard troops, federalized the city because there is a clause in the Home Rule Act that states that if the city government either can't or won't do the necessary things that a city government is supposed to do, then that will be kind of the sunset clause of switching back over to federal rule. Um, Congress will still have to pass a bill in order to nullify the home rule entirely, but in the meantime, it's up to the executive to bring in the necessary law enforcement that it takes to kind of clean up the streets. And some things they're doing well, other things they are definitely not doing well. They've kind of instituted a stop and frisk type of, I don't know if it's an official policy or whatever, but they've been scooping a lot of people up for unregistered and unlicensed firearms carry, and a lot of Second Amendment groups out there like, yeah, this ain't a good look, dog.
Right. I mean, you kind of have a special situation though with the Capitol. I mean, it needs to be its own sort of animal for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't want. I mean, I could see a foreign government. Well, I mean, to back up a little, January 6th, whatever you think happened there. What if you had a foreign government doing that? You know, filtering people into Washington D.C. with lots of weapons, and just have a soft takeover. I mean, be easy.
Well, kind of. I don't really think that we we risked anything in January 6th, because in the event that a bunch of MAGA chuds had made it into the Capitol and drove all of the senators and congressmen out through the escape tunnels, and then they occupied the Capitol building, it's like, okay, and it's not a game of capture the flag. It's not whoever's side has control of the Capitol building is suddenly the ersatz government of the United States. It's like, no, all of the mechanisms, you've lost control of a building temporarily. It's not a good look, but nothing would change.
No, I mean, a foreign government take it one step further. You wouldn't filter them out. You'd get rid of them.
Yeah.
But either way, you don't want your capital of your country to be a total shithole.
Right. And that's what I think that they're trying to do right now. Whether or not they're going to actually be successful, or they're going to, like most things that they try to do, uh, get people stepping in their way and stepping on their toes the whole time. I mean, it remains to be seen.
Well, and this police chief, I mean, I was looking at her bio. In 6 years, she was the head of the New York field office of the United States Park Police, whatever that is.
Yeah, she was also the DEI officer. Or
Well,
my,
I
not
mean,
me.
to go from graduating from the University of Arkansas with a bachelor's in criminal justice to leading a field office in 6 years, that just kind of stinks of DEI right there.
Yeah, I might be thinking of a different person, but there was one woman who, it seems like you can't throw a rock in Washington D.C. without hitting a butch black lesbian in a position of authority. But some journalist was asking, like, so who all is in the chain of command? And she's like, what does that mean? It's like, you're the police chief and you don't know what a chain of command is? And yeah, so DEI strikes again.
Yeah, and she was, like you said, she was the DEI officer, and that apparently facilitated a bump up to the chief of police. And she's only been in there for 2 years, 3 years. Um, so
Which
I
is
don't
long
think
enough to figure out what a chain of command is.
right, but I don't think we can blame her for DC being the shithole it is. I'd be curious
No.
who was in there before her. If you've just got like a string of DEI hires screwing up the city.
Well, the mayor is currently and has been for a while a woman named Muriel Bowser. I'm not sure who the DC Metro Police Chief is.
Let me guess, is she a strong black woman?
I don't think so.
Let's see, Ariel Bowser. She is black.
Oh,
She's not a butch lesbian though.
well, still, DEI strikes again.
But to be fair, I mean, I think that area in DC is about half black.
Yes, yes, it is. It is very diverse. Diverse.
Your working stiffs are black. Everybody else is white. Um, so, and you had said that you saw Trump and talked about expanding the program if it works.
I don't think that he has the authority to expand the program, but he did mention other U.S. cities that are currently being racked by crime, like Baltimore, Detroit, uh, some other like Los Angeles or whatever, that have recently had crime waves or have been under crime for a long time. He's like, maybe we'll. I think he was just trying to scare people because he doesn't really have the authority to do any of this that I'm aware of. But he was saying like, maybe we'll federalize some other cities too. How do you like that? Which on the one hand is might be a good tactic to get those people to get their shit together. But on the other hand, it is kind of playing right into what they want, because I've been saying since the defund the police thing came out during the Black Lives Matter, is like they don't want to actually defund the police or abolish the police. The objective has always been to become the police. And the best way to do that would be to consolidate power in the federal authority so that it would all be top down, and then to have, Obama, Biden, Kamala Harris type be in charge of the executive.
The old federal police force. What could go wrong?
Oh yeah, it's never been a problem before.
I watched a clip where they were doing, I always say, follow the money. And these guys were talking about how the defund the police movement was just a money play by a lot of these cities, because they said they pushed for defunding the police, and then they fired all their, experienced cops that were eating up pensions and, wages. And after that, they're like, oh, well, this isn't working. So then they hire up a bunch of new grads.
Yeah, at lower wages,
Yeah,
lower benefits.
It was just a way to do a little bit of union busting on the police force.
Without looking like you're union busting.
Yeah. Austin was the one that they brought up, how, they had a big defund the police movement there, and the only ones they defunded and got rid of were their higher wage earners who'd been there a while. And the amount of police they have now is exactly the same before defund the police, but their budget is way lower because they've got a bunch of new grads, and they're not union.
And they took a lot of that money and then spread it around to other things that they wanted to keep going, and some other silly projects like community policing or whatever that stupid term was. I think though, but before we move on, I think that an excellent point to be made was that the impetus for this federalization of Washington, D.C. was the fact that a Doge staffer, the infamous Big Balls, was beaten by a dozen urban youth, as they are called. And that was what got the president's attention in order to federalize the district once again.
I mean, there's been just random people shot. A lot of staffers get shot there. I mean, I could think of several stories of staffers getting shot in DC. I mean, it's not a safe place to work.
No,
You know,
it's
and at
definitely
that point,
not.
At that point, it's disrupting government. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if they fix it.
Yeah. The other thing about it is the media narrative, and this is something that you can notice both here as well as over in the UK. There seems to be some type of a memo that went out amongst the media that it's time to start downplaying the crime in the major cities, and to try and make anybody who's complaining about the crime in the cities look like a boy who cried wolf, scaremongering
Well,
in
that
order
was that
to
statistic when they said Trump wants to take over DC, but violent crime is down 25% over the last 2 years or whatever. They just changed how they were reporting it.
exactly that. And people are also lying about the crime statistics because there's one senior captain in the Metro Police in DC that is currently on administrative leave undergoing internal investigation for just flat out lying about the crime in his sector.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
So
and one of the things they did for the violent crime statistics, they broke out murder from violent crime. So when they
because
talk about violent crime, they're not counting murders.
because murder's not violent.
No.
No,
So,
it's only violent if you survive it.
but they've done that with all the statistics. Um, you know, and if you like the unemployment statistics, when you look, they talk about unemployment's going up so much with Trump. Well, he got rid of 300,000 federal workers.
Yeah, that's an
Right.
unemployment that I can get behind.
And it doesn't seem to have really affected anything. I'm pretty sure that the Biden administration was just keeping the entire economy afloat through federal jobs.
Yeah, well, it's like the same thing that Elon did with Twitter. Fired, 2/3 of the people working there, and Twitter started working more smoothly, and actually started turning a larger profit. And it's like, huh, I wonder what all these bullshit non-jobs were. It's
Yeah.
like, oh look, it was just Jew daycare to keep women from having kids.
Well, speaking of Jew stuff, you had a couple Jewish stories.
I had one that was kind of like, what the fuck?
And another one that I thought sounded goofy, but apparently it was true too. The I guess first one, the Israeli government official.
Yes, Netanyahu's cybersecurity chief, I believe, was hemmed up in a uh, child sexual abuse sting
In
in
Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Yep.
And rather than being under a prison right now, the government helped him basically escape back to Israel with no repercussions at all.
Which is a common theme.
Yeah, it actually turns out that there are a lot of Jewish sex offenders who are allowed to escape to Israel, where the government of Israel does not allow for extradition.
So I'm curious if
Like a
these
lot.
guys, well, and I'm curious if these guys, then when they get to Israel, they continue being pedophiles. Is Israel just soft on pedophiles, or once they get to Israel, they're like, oh well, I better cut it out.
I have a sneaking suspicion that if they if a Jewish pedophile escapes to Israel and then reoffends in Israel, they'll probably throw the book at him. But as long as they're not molesting, Israeli kids, then it's all kosher.
Let's see. Well, just quickly, I typed in Israeli pedophile laws, and the top one that pops up is exposing pedophilia and legal failures in Israel, criminal exploitation of Israel's citizenship laws. Many accused American pedophiles have fled to Israel.
Yep.
Taking advantage of the law return, which grants automatic citizenship to Jewish individuals and their families with minimal barriers, while criminal background checks exist. offenders can bypass these requirements, allowing them to evade justice.
La-di-da. Speaking of child sexual exploitation, if any of you guys have kids out there, it would behoove you to maybe tell them to mind their P's and Q's when they're on Roblox if they play that game, because there was a Roblox streamer.
Hold up. Just this ties into Israel, doesn't it?
I don't think so, but maybe. You know what? I bet the guy that's in charge of Roblox or whoever owns it.
Boy.
I bet he.
Go ahead. I'll look it
but
up.
anyways, so there was a Roblox streamer, and I guess when he was younger,
This guy's a doozy.
yeah. He was a streamer, and when he was younger, he was molested. So he obviously has bad experiences with child molesters. So he's on Roblox, and he kind of does the whole Chris Hansen To Catch a Predator thing on Roblox, where he'll get these people to out themselves. They think that they're chatting with a underage kid, and then he gets information from them and then calls the police in their area. And Roblox banned him and said that vigilantism is against Roblox terms of service, and they banned him off. And there was a huge backlash to him being banned, because people were like, this guy's out here doing the Lord's work, keeping perverts off of this children's game. What are you guys doing? This ain't a good look for you. So I haven't seen any updates on that yet, but what have you found, sir?
Well, David Bazuki, Roblox's co-founder and CEO, was born in 1963 to Ukrainian immigrants to Canada of Jewish descent.
Every single time.
Who would have thought?
Ah, boy. Well, there you go, folks. Didn't want to talk about Israel and stuff a whole bunch, but you just can't get away from it.
Yeah. So there you go. That tied right into the other story, even though you weren't trying to.
Yeah, I didn't even know. But, I mean, at this point, it's like, Neo looking at the Matrix and seeing the green numbers down. It's like you look at it for so long, you don't even see a picture anymore. You don't even see the numbers anymore. You just see what it actually is. You just notice the patterns.
One of the most popular locations for Jewish sex offenders to settle is ultra-Orthodox settlements in the West Bank, occupying Palestinian land. West Bank settlements have faced extra scrutiny over allegations of child sex abuse, including rape and pornography. They target Palestinian children. Great.
Yeah, so I guess if you're gonna be a criminal, you might as well just go all the way in, right? A little child molestation gets boring after a while, so you might as well be a war criminal too.
Yeah, just think of what those guys are probably running hog wild over there right now with the situation in the West Bank.
Yep.
What a fucked up thing.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing about what's going on over there. I'm sick of talking about what's going on over there. Sick of hearing about the backlash to what's going on over there. And at some point, some people have to get some intellectual honesty in their minds and realize that the number one driver these days of anti-Semitism is Israeli behavior. Like, it's not just coming from in a vacuum. Didn't just come from nowhere. Nobody just woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm gonna hate Jews. Because that's been popular the last 80 years. That gets you far in modern times, just hating Jews for no reason. It's like, no.
Nearly 90% of sexual offense cases involving Israeli army officers and Palestinian children were initially open but closed without charges.
Oh, because of
Never
course
guessed
they
that.
were.
Yeah, never guessed that one. The other story you brought up was the red heifer was sacrificed. I guess.
I saw something about it, but I don't know how true this is because. So, a little bit of a recap on the red heifer thing in case people are new and haven't been listening. Part of the prophecy is that a pure red heifer has to be sacrificed and burned on an altar on the Mount of Olives overlooking the site of the Temple Mount. Uh, the stipulations for the red heifer is it has to be inspected by a team of Levite rabbis who, in their inspections, can find no more than two non-red hairs on the entire cow, and five potential red heifer candidates were imported into Israel, and all five of them allegedly failed inspection.
I
I
think
have.
Simon, isn't he the one that initially woke us up to this one?
Well, this is something I've known about for a
Oh,
long
okay.
time, but apparently
I
I
found
don't
a
even.
legitimate news story. It's on a Billings TV station.
Oh,
I'm assuming they did a little bit of research.
yeah, maybe, but yeah. So the red heifer thing is it's part of the end times prophecy. These five cows are, from what I know, they're like genetically engineered, and they still ended up failing the test. They found more than two black hairs on these cattle. Um, but you found a story saying that there was a perfect one that was sacrificed in secret.
It was like a trial run, I guess, because hold on, let me get this story. I was looking at our comments here real quick while you were talking. We had somebody coincidentally asked. We heard about the Roblox child predator scandal when we were talking about stuff, and then we went right into it. Chris Hansen is supposedly doing a documentary on it,
Hmm.
and then Jared said, "Stop recognizing patterns, you bigots."
Can't
Yeah,
stop, won't stop.
I got the story here. They believe finding and sacrificing a pure red heifer is a step for rebuilding the Temple Mount, which you covered. The ritual is supposed to occur on the Mount of Olives near the temple site, which is now home to the Dome of the Rock and Al Aqsa Mosque, which could be an issue.
No shit.
I'm going to guess Muslims do not want them dragging a red heifer to the Dome of the Rock and sacrificing it. The ritual sacrifice last month was with the red heifer deemed less impure by Jewish groups because non-red hairs were discovered, which you said. So apparently there is some truth to it. It was not on the Mount of Olives. Jewish leaders feel it does not pass all requirements, but it was real and the first time they've sacrificed a red heifer in some 2,000 years.
Good. It's good. It's good to see that we're bringing back 2,000-year-old animal sacrifice practices in the year 2025. I'm glad that's where our world is at right now.
Everyone agree that those will be. Will everyone agree that those heifers will be the right ones? No. Many will question and fight against the ceremony. I just think the world needs to know the ceremony went perfect, with a perfect priest and a place outside of the camp. In opinion of those I respect, we use a perfect red heifer, Stinson continued.
Did Donald Trump write that?
Byron Stinson, an evangelical Christian from Texas, is part of Boneh Israel, a Jerusalem-based group that is part of the heifer efforts. So there's those
Heifer
Zionist,
efforts.
yeah, that's what it says. There's those Zionist evangelicals that everybody loves so much. And I just Googled his name. Yeah, it's a legitimate guy working with Jews to.
When you find an evangelical Christian who is interested in fulfilling these sorts of end time prophecies, you really have to I think that it is somewhat incumbent upon non-dispensationalist Christians these days to get mean with these people. And by mean with these people, I mean that they need to be accused of apostasy, because by not only believing in Hebrew end times prophecies and aiding in the efforts of sacrificing a red heifer in order to rebuild the third temple, not only are you engaging in apocalypse accelerationism, but in a way you're also denying the sacrifice of Jesus. And if if you're not a Christian, okay, whatever. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to say that you believe in it or anything like that. But they believe in it. And according to the Christian tradition, Jesus Christ is the third temple.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ was the sacrifice that is there to take away the sins of the world, and Jesus Christ was the Messiah. So by engaging in these Hebrew practices, you are denying the divinity and the sacrifice of Christ, as well as basically just apostasy. I'll leave it there. You are an apostate, heretical, and apostasy.
Well, they went all in on this stuff. I don't know where they get this. It must be from the Torah or something. Pure waters from the Shiloach Spring, Shiloach spring, located at the foot of the city of David, must be collected, and cedar wood, hyssop, and wool dyed red with the Tolashani insect must also be acquired and added to the ashes. All these elements were attainable. The actual burning of the heifer must take place on the Mount of Olives, at a vantage point which the Cohen, that Jewish priest I mentioned earlier, performing the ceremony, could see into the great entrance of the temple. So they actually got all this stuff together and burned a heifer and pretended there was a temple. Good for them.
Oy vey.
I guess now they're good to go if they find an actual red one.
No, but that doesn't fix the problem of the fact that the Mount of Olives and the Temple Mount is being currently occupied by the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Yeah. Hamas and other Islamist groups are paying close attention to this and the potential to try for the development of a new Temple Mount. Stinson said his goal is that the temple site will still include Islamic sites in addition to the new third temple. Yeah, that should go over great.
Yeah, Stinson, this is the Texas evangelical heifer effort.
Yeah, the heifer effort.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that this man doesn't seem to understand, is that he's not dealing with rational people who are interested in sharing power.
Right. To circle back to your Las Vegas story, I don't know that we finished it. The arrests were all brought to jail after being taken into custody. A church official told the station that Creasy, was that his name? Alexandrovich was released after a $10,000 bond. So, and then off he went to the West Bank, I suppose, to wrap that story up. Excellent.
Yay.
Full circle on that one. I'm surprised that they're not gonna. Torah doesn't say they need to sacrifice a child in addition to their red heifer, or they're leaving that part out.
Who knows? I think they've sacrificed enough children in what they're doing right now.
Right. Another comment over here. Sorry, I'm late. Just saying, surprise the religion of loopholes and fooling God hasn't tried to weasel a spray-painted cow yet.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, what does it say about hair dye? I'm sure they would have tried that by now.
says that the heifer has to be red. It doesn't say anything about how the heifer got red.
Right. Yeah, the religion of loopholes. That's true story. What else we got? We got probably 5-10 minutes left. Was there anything we didn't hit on?
I'm sure there's a lot that's happened in the last 5 or 10 days, but like I said, I've kind of been half-assing my devotion the uh, to the news.
Well, I spent a lot of time driving and I was listening to news podcasts, but I got hung up on a World War One podcast again. So that's on me.
Yeah. Things are getting really interesting over in the UK, specifically in England. I've been paying probably more attention than I should to what's going on over there, and I think the English people are finally at their end
Really?
with
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 the
what.
immigrants?
Yeah. So you have the flag of the UK, the Union Jack. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows that one, right? Well, the flag of the UK, the Union Jack, is actually made up of 3 separate flags for England, Scotland, and Wales.
Okay.
And the flag of England, the St. George's Cross, it's a white background with just a red cross, one vertical, one horizontal. That's the St. George's Cross. That's the flag of England. And that seems to have become the symbol of resistance.
The St. George's Cross.
The St. George's Cross. And people are starting to put this flag up everywhere. Epping, the site that was the most recent site of some immigrant perving on a child, is still sort of the epicenter of this, where Epping citizens are going out and climbing light posts and hanging the English flag from the light posts. And the city officials are going out and taking them down, and they're saying, no, please don't climb the light post. You might fall and hurt yourself. Don't climb the light posts. It might flutter in the breeze and block out a traffic light, and somebody might get into, they're just coming up with excuses to try and make people stop doing this. And the people of Epping are like, fuck you, no. And they're doing it, and the English flag is becoming a symbol of resistance. They are still marching in the street. They're still doing protests.
I mean, your country's fucked when your national flag is a sign of resistance.
I mean, kinda.
I don't think we're there yet in America. I mean, you can still run the red, white, and blue, and you're not considered the resistance.
Depends on where you are, because you can fly a Palestinian flag, and people will give you slow clap and stunning and brave. But in some parts of America, you fly, you have an American flag, and they'll look at you and be like, "Oh, this guy's a right winger." And it's like, dude,
I might be in a bit of an echo chamber, probably where we're at.
Yeah, it's like, dude, this is our flag. This isn't like I'm flying a MAGA flag or something.
I'm sure there's places on the east and west coast and some of these metrosexual cities in the Midwest where you've got a Ukraine flag, a Palestinian flag, and the whatever that fucking LGBT whatever
LMNOP.
Yeah, with all the triangles in it.
Yeah, you fly all of those. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that's what's going on over in England right now. Is they're fed up. They're protesting. People are making their voices heard. I've seen a couple videos that people have posted. One interaction was some overweight meter maid looking cop come to a woman's door to hand her a flyer or something, like warning her not to take part in the protests or something. She cussed him out, called him a fucking traitorous cunt midget, and all sorts of other expletives.
Flag license, mate?
Maybe not, but she basically cussed him out for a good couple of minutes and then slammed the door in his face, told him he's going to jail. for harassing people. And then another one that I saw, a cop came up and was like, "Hey man, I was told by my police chief to give you this flyer." He's like, "I don't want to do this, but this is just part of my job. Here's this flyer warning about the protests." And the guy was like, "Okay, mate, I get you. I know it's part of your job, but do me a favor. Take it back to whoever gave it to you and tell him to fuck himself respectfully." And the cop starts laughing. And he's like, "Okay, I'll do that." And then it turns out that they're disciplining this cop because he said that he didn't agree with doing what he had to, or what he was doing, and he laughed at the guy who told him to tell his supervisor to fuck himself.
Well, I mean, where does England even go from here? They just start repatriating people, or what? I don't. What do they do?
I think that really the only thing that they can do at this point is to find out where these people come from and say, "You got to go home." There are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people living in England that are claiming like refugee status, that come from places that are not currently at any type of a war or ethnic cleansing or anything like that. People coming from like Albania, which, Albania is not the greatest country in the world, but you're not in any type of immediate danger just by virtue of who you are or what you believe or anything like that. I mean, other than like being in the typical danger that you would expect of a developing country, but that's not enough to grant you refugee status to a first world Western nation. And even if it was, you had to go through 5 or 6 European countries to get to the UK. And the UN Charter on refugees states that you have to settle down in the first peaceful country that you come into. So even if they were eligible for refugee status, they wouldn't be eligible for refugee status in the UK.
So they just start rounding them up. I mean, yeah, that's. I don't think the UK has the balls to do that.
No, that's the thing, is the people that are actually in charge of the UK, the people who would have
they don't.
the authority, they're not only unwilling to do it,
Yeah.
they seem to be actively hostile to their own native people. And that's what's so mind-bogglingly bizarre about what's going on over there, is the desperate state that the government of the UK seems to be in order to keep these foreigners in their country.
Well, and we've kind of proven. I mean, they say they need these foreigners so their businesses stay afloat. I mean, Trump's only been in office for, 8 months now? And he's pretty much shut down the border. I mean, still working. The country hasn't fallen apart yet.
Or some would say it's even working a little bit better than it was before.
Right.
But it remains to be seen.
I mean, we're the test case that you don't need them to keep your economy afloat.
Well, it's not only that. They use economics as the sort of cudgel that they want to use to, tell people this is why we're doing things. But when you look at the way they act when people call them out on it, be like, the stats bear it out true. These people are a net drain. Most of these people come in, if they get a job at all, they're not net contributors to tax because they're also living off of benefits. But it's the body language and the language that the government officials use when you bring up the idea of remigration and getting these people out. They turn white, like, oh, it can't be done. So it's like, what do you know that you're not telling us? And at first I was like, maybe they realized that the old jabby jab was maybe a little bit more dangerous than we were led to believe, and since they had such a big uptake. Yeah. But then that wouldn't make sense, because then you would need basically a 50-50 split of men and women.
You would want more women.
Yeah. almost all of the people that are coming into the UK are almost exclusively men. It's like 75-25 men and young fighting age men. So then the only thing that comes to my mind is they're either anticipating the only thing in human history that disproportionately kills a vast number of men over women is a war. So they're either expecting the war with Russia or the Middle East or Africa or whatever to go kinetic, and a whole bunch of their men are going to die and they're going to need to have more men to replace them, or they are importing a fifth column to be activated against their own people. And honestly, that seems a little tinfoil hatty, but those are the options that I see.
I think they were stuck in the old ways and thought, we need to have men in case there's a war, but the new model of warfare doesn't require that anymore. So now they're stuck with them. I mean,
I don't.
Ukraine and Russia has shown that the meat grinder isn't really a thing anymore with technology.
You sure about that? Because it looks like there's a lot of casualties. It looks like Ukraine and Russia right now is like a small scale version of World War One. It's
Well, if you look at the amount of casualties, it's been going down. It's more targeted. It's just drone swarms and artillery anymore.
kind of always was. I mean, the human toll is still pretty high in that war because both sides are attempting to fight it like an old style of war. There's something that's still going on in that war where armored column, maneuver warfare, trench warfare, infantry squad maneuvers, and things like that are still, they're still a thing. And you can have drone swarms and artillery barrages and columns of tanks and all of that, which is fine for taking territory, but it will always be the man with a rifle who holds territory. You cannot hold territory with a drone swarm or a tank or a jet fighter or an artillery piece.
Yeah, I just don't think the value of an uneducated man with a gun in warfare is what it used to be.
It'll remain to be seen. So then if the war is not the end goal and replacement population for a mass die-off due to a certain medical procedure that was not everything that it was promised to be is not the play here, then the only thing that makes sense to me is they are going to somehow weaponize these people against their own population, draft them into a police force or something once the native Brits
Well,
get
they still
uppity.
need they still need women. Then even after that point, you still need more women. Then you still have uh, an unmarried force of young men. They just took over the country, but they're still unmarried and they have guns. It's still not going to work out.
Oh,
I don't
maybe they're
know.
just expecting the white working class and the imported military age males to just kill each other off and achieve equilibrium.
I don't know. It just seems like such a poorly thought out plan. No matter which way you're going with it, it doesn't
That's
make
government
any
for
sense
you.
why they would do it. Yeah, that's government. But now we're really up on an hour. We will be back next week. Hobbs hit on what we are on. Roads number 2liberty.com. Roads number 2liberty on Rumble, YouTube, the Alex Jones store slash
R2L.
R2L.
Yep.
And find us there. Check us out. We had some of you in here tonight. Thanks for showing up and commenting. And stay honky.